What this Mandukya does is, it smashes the law of karma to bits. It gets rid of the law of karma also. Shankaracharya says, correct. Ultimately speaking, the law of karma is not right. Ultimately speaking.
Just as the laws of physics are not right.
Ultimately speaking, yes. In what sense? What Advaita does is, it divides reality into 3 tiers, 3 levels of reality. There is the ultimate reality, which it calls Paramarthika, the absolute reality. There is a transactional reality which we inhabit, which is this waking reality, which it calls Vyavaharika, transactional reality. And then there is a level of illusion, error, dream, which it calls Pratibhasika. Example, once Swami, it's very the happily named Swami Turiyananda, because we are talking about Turiyam. Swami Turiyananda was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Once he was there with an American Swami, Swami Atulananda, and they were on their way to a pilgrimage in Hardwar or somewhere, I forget. And they camped one night with a lot of other pilgrims in a hut. And this is in the reminiscences of Swami Atulananda. Swami Turiyananda was a great Vedantist. So there was a discussion on Vedanta, and there were pilgrims sitting all around a roaring fire at night. It was winter. Then one of the gentlemen challenged Swami Turiyananda. He was saying, all this is an appearance, is a dream. So your body is a dream, this fire is a dream, and this experience, what you're experiencing now is just an appearance. You are the unchanging consciousness. So can you put your hand in this fire? And Turiyananda said immediately, Atulanji records, he got excited immediately and stood up and said, yes, I'll thrust my hand in the fire. It will get burned, but that does not affect me, the witnessing consciousness. And he was about to jump into the fire when people rushed and caught him and pulled him back. Now you see, it does not violate common sense or physics. But what it says is, I have recognized myself as the witness consciousness. The body and the fire are at the same level of reality. So the fire will burn the body. The laws of physics and chemistry and biology will act upon the body. And the mind too. But I, the witness consciousness, I am not the body and mind. It is entirely in your mind. If you go and kick a rock in Central Park, will the dream rock not hurt your dream foot? It will. It will. You might even utter a dream ouch. That does not make the dream rock any more real. At the same level, they act on each other. But the great discovery of Shankaracharya, what the great insight is, that which is at a lower level of reality does not affect the higher level of reality. So, whatever happens in the dream, Janaka lost his kingdom, was wounded, humiliated, frustrated, in despair. In the dream, when he wakes up, none of it has affected him. I mean, still, his heart may pound a little bit, but he will say, oh, it didn't happen. Of course, philosopher, yes satya, wo sach. But the dream did not affect his waking. All the things which went in the dream had no effect on the waking, because the waking is a higher level of reality than the dream. Shankaracharya says, not one grain of sand in the desert can be made wet by the water of the mirage. You can see a whole oasis of water. It will have no effect on the sand of the desert. It remains unaffected because they are not at the same level of reality. An unreal oasis can exist with a real desert. An unreal snake can coexist with a real rope. An unreal defeat in the battle can coexist with the emperor retaining his empire and being very happy in the waking state. Unreality and reality have no clash. But does the real level of the higher level of existence, does it affect the lower level of experience? Yet it does. How? It forms the basis of that. Unless you are a waker, you cannot go to sleep and dream. Unless there is a real desert, the false oasis mirage cannot appear. Unless there is a real rope, the false snake cannot appear there. Similarly, this rope or the oasis or the desert or the waking, all of this is based on a yet higher level of reality, which is pure consciousness, the non-dual consciousness, Turiyam. This cannot affect that. But that gives this existence. And that thing which gives this existence, that is what you are really. Once you know that, you will continue to inhabit this very happily. You will not be affected by the problems here. Then this itself, there are beautiful verses. Nandanavanam, this itself becomes the garden of the gods. In Nandanavanam is supposed to be in heaven, the garden of the gods. This world, samsara of terrible ills and frightening samsara, becomes your pleasure garden.
What I am about to expose will destroy everything you have been taught about karma and reveal why this sacred teaching has become the most dangerous spiritual trap of our time. If you have been trying to create good karma through righteous actions, positive thoughts, and spiritual practices, while your life continues to deteriorate or remain stuck in patterns of suffering, you are not experiencing the natural law of cause and effect. You are trapped in what I call the karma delusion, a corrupted understanding that has transformed an enlightening teaching into a prison of guilt, fear, and spiritual bypassing. The real reason karma fails you is because karma, as it is commonly understood and practiced, is not karma at all, but a mental construction designed to keep you trapped in cycles of effort, judgment, and unconscious action while believing you are creating positive spiritual results. True karma has nothing to do with moral accounting, divine punishment, or earning spiritual points through good behavior. True karma is the law of consciousness that ensures you receive exactly the experiences needed for your awakening, regardless of whether your ego judges these experiences as good or bad. For decades, I have observed how seekers become enslaved by their misunderstanding of karma, constantly monitoring their thoughts and actions for karmic correctness while remaining completely unconscious of the deeper forces that actually create their experience. They try to accumulate good karma like spiritual currency, while their unconscious patterns continue to create the very suffering they are trying to overcome through their karmic efforts. Before we continue, if you recognize yourself as someone who has been working diligently to create good karma without experiencing the liberation and fulfillment you expected, please acknowledge your readiness to hear the hidden warning about how this approach may be sabotaging your spiritual development. If you are prepared to understand karma as it actually operates rather than as it has been distorted by spiritual teachers and religious systems, then remain present for this revelation that will free you from karmic bondage. See, the fundamental deception about karma is the belief that you can control your spirit. If your consciousness is fearful, all your actions will carry fearful karma, regardless of how morally correct they appear. If your consciousness is loving, all your actions will carry loving karma, regardless of how they are judged by others. The reason your attempts to create good karma fail is because you are approaching karma from ego consciousness rather than divine consciousness. When you try to perform good actions to earn positive results, you are operating from the very consciousness of separation and manipulation that creates negative karma. You are trying to use spiritual law to serve ego desires, rather than allowing a spiritual law to transform ego consciousness. But the deception goes even deeper than this. The very concept of good and bad karma is a mental construction that prevents you from understanding how existence actually supports your evolution. What your ego judges as bad karma may be exactly what your soul needs for awakening. What appears to be negative consequences may be cosmic gifts designed to free you from patterns that are preventing your spiritual growth. Every experience you have is perfect karma for your current level of consciousness, whether your mind labels it positive or negative. The universe is not punishing you for past mistakes or rewarding you for good behavior. The universe is giving you exactly the experiences that will most efficiently dissolve the illusions that keep you trapped in suffering and limitation. Let me reveal the hidden warning that spiritual teachers never share because it threatens their authority and business model. Trying to create good karma through effort and technique actually generates the karma of spiritual materialism, where you use spiritual concepts to serve ego goals rather than allowing spiritual truth to dissolve ego consciousness. Your good deeds, charitable actions, and spiritual practices create negative karma when they emerge from ego motivation rather than spontaneous love. When you help others to feel good about yourself, donate money to appear generous, or perform spiritual practices to earn divine favor, you are strengthening the very ego patterns that create suffering. The form of your actions may appear spiritual, but the consciousness behind them generates the karma of unconsciousness. The most devastating aspect of the karma delusion is that it keeps you focused on managing effects rather than transforming causes. You try to create better circumstances through better actions while remaining unconscious of the deeper consciousness patterns that create all your circumstances. You become trapped in endless doing while avoiding the inner work of being that would naturally transform your entire experience. True understanding of karma reveals that you are not creating karma through your actions, but discovering the karma that you are through your experiences. Your current circumstances are not the result of past actions, but the reflection of present consciousness. When your consciousness transforms, your karma transforms instantly, regardless of what you have done in the past. The liberation from karmic bondage begins with understanding that you cannot escape karma through effort, but only through consciousness.
Even karma and such things, karmic things, are only for the body-mind. They are not for the being. You see? So when you stay as being, you transcend this karmic field. At present, you're even the belief that there's things you have done in the past, which you have no proof of, but your belief, you'll believe it into existence and it'll become your experience. Watch these type of thoughts, throw them out. You see? Because if they really mattered, the superconsciousness would have find a way of revealing it to you in another way. Anything that pushes you down and make you feel, so suffocated and really impure, and that this is not good. You should just leave them. They're not supporting your awakening. You see? And you don't need on the other side fantasies or anything like that, or imagination. It is enough in the sober mind that you recognize that these things about karma, they are more to do with your body mind, your earth mind and earth body notions of yourself. This is not important. The self is never going to happen. What happens is the recognition of the self. The self is timelessly present. So this recognition somehow has been delayed because the attention has gone to other things, and we have given attention, which is one of our great powers, we have given it so much energy. But you are more subtle than attention, because you are the one who can witness attention or even inattention. So you are behind even attention, you see. You are aware of attention. So it means that you are subtler than attention. So be in this subtle place, which is, you don't have to travel to. You just, that I point you, this is the greatness of consciousness. By just being pointed there, you are here. In this subtle place where notions about karma and past and future and desire and attachments and boredom and entertainment and all these are just concepts like clouds that are floating in the infinite expanse we call the sky. But the sky is not floating by. You are that still space. This stillness is always here. The very watching of anything itself is a movement arising in the stillness. Therefore, even the watching is watched. Even your watching is watched. But there's no watcher there. There's no personal watcher there. Just the power to observe is manifesting. Who are you here then? At this point, you have moved beyond the construct of the 5 elements. You're here, but not as flesh and blood only. The body is innocent, it's fine. But your intelligence, your spiritual intelligence is revealing that somehow you're beyond even the form. This is not imagination. This is why I invite you to do now and look. Not ask you visualize this. No visualizing needed. Just that somehow pay attention, that you can somehow observe attention. You can observe thoughts, observe feeling. You can observe the traffic of sensation without being caught in any of it. Just in your silence, in the space of your silence. But who are you who is observing all these things? Can you be observed also? If you can be observed, you must have some quality that is here. Then something says, yes, I can see these qualities. If something can see these qualities, it must be subtler than them. This is simple contemplation, but its effect is just beautiful. It takes you back to emptiness. Emptiness is just a word I'm using. So I said to emptiness beyond the concept of emptiness. Means that you are not attached to any notion at all. You can feel. And pay attention how you are here. Do you want to come out of this space you are now?
Thank you. Some people believe, and they are not right, even some teachings would tell you that liberation is achieved by gradually improving your karma. So it's a kind of progression. Gradually you get better, and you get better lifetimes and better karma and so on. But that's not really how it works, because even to have a very good karma is not liberation. You're not free of the conditioning of your mind. At any point within the wheel of karma, it's possible to jump off the wheel of karma, and it is precisely at the worst times that the opportunities are greatest. So if there is intense suffering in your life, those are times when the opportunity to transcend karma and to step off the wheel, so to speak, is greatest. So you don't need to be concerned about that, but what you have suffered is actually can become an extremely helpful thing in your life because it's the great awakener. Suffering that others inflict on you, suffering that you inflict on others because you are part of this huge, massive accumulation of unconsciousness that is, when you go into a war situation, you are part of a massive accumulation of collective unconsciousness, and there, of course, you get drawn into that collective karma. You participate in it, become part of it, and then you come out of it. Then you maybe, your egoic self is at a state of perhaps greater readiness than ever to crack open, and this has brought you here. So there have been people in prison for many years who have in prison because they murdered people or whatever, and I regularly receive correspondence from people in prison who have disidentified from the egoic self and their entire life history, as if they're emerging out of like a butterfly, the caterpillar becoming transformed into a butterfly. So the important thing for you is not to misinterpret in your mind what has happened in your past, and to make it into something that some form of guilt identity could build up. This could just become a very heavy mind form, and that would be the obstacle, not what has happened. You were part of this massive unconsciousness, and already you are coming out of it. You responded to the power of